My name is Teresa Marlino, and I am an OB hospitalist and site director at St. Luke's University Health System, and I'm also a veteran of the U.S. Navy Reserve. I served in the Persian Gulf during the Desert Shield and Desert Storm missions in 1991. At that time, I was a physical therapist, and I had sought a direct commission into the Navy Reserves after college. My unit was activated and deployed to Saudi Arabia in support of Operation Desert Shield and Desert Storm. In less than 2 weeks' time, we set up a 500-bed hospital in the desert outside the port of Al Jubail, Saudi Arabia. While serving there, the Iraqi military deployed Scud missiles, which were launched at Saudi Arabia in January. And I remember running out of my tent and getting into the sandbag bunkers that we had made around the tent, putting on my gas mask and listening to the chatter overhead as Scud missiles were launched and the Patriot missile, the missile defense system of the U.S. military, was launched to intercept. And at that moment, it was a bit of an existential moment for me where I thought, okay, if I get myself out of this situation, what do I want to do with the rest of my life? And it's at that moment that I decided that if I survived this, I was going to come home and go to medical school. After 8 years of Navy Reserves, I decided I better resign my commission. I just couldn't imagine leaving my children. I entered medical school thinking I was going to be a pediatrician. I had two small children born during medical school and another during my residency. So I was all about my kids. My husband was the one who noticed that during my OBGYN rotation as a third-year medical student, I never hit the snooze button. And every time the alarm went off, regardless of the time of the morning, usually 5 a.m., I hopped out of bed and got in the shower and got myself ready and off to my clinical rotation without any hesitancy. He also noticed that I came home most excited and animated about the things that I was seeing and doing. I really loved working with women. So I decided on OBGYN as a specialty, and I have to say that it has been the most rewarding 25 plus years of my life. I love that when I go to work, I have a singular focus on what I'm doing in those 24 hours. My family knows not to bother me during that time unless something really serious is happening. And in that 24-hour shift, I really focus on what it is that I'm doing and why I'm there. To be there emergently as a safety partner to our community physicians at St. Luke's. And it has been a wonderful transition. I used to think that I was going to retire early as an obstetrician, but now I feel like I'm going to be able to extend my career, hopefully for another 10 years, working this way. I think being in the military helps you to be working in coordination and in concert with a large group of people towards a goal of a mission, and learning to be flexible as you adapt to what situation you're in, which is really what we do as OB hospitalists. I love this way of life. I love this job. And I hope to continue for another 10 years as an OB hospitalist. I would say it is a great job, a great way to be able to continue caring for women in all stages of life, with more of a focus on obstetrics, although there's still a lot of gynecology that we do through the emergency room and consults and such. But it's a wonderful way to make that transition. And I work 7 shifts in a 28-day period. So I work two 24-hour shifts on average a week. And the other 5 24-hour shifts, I am off. And that is time for me and my home, my family, my personal life. I felt that as a reservist and a Desert Storm veteran, we returned from active duty and were really welcomed home with open arms. I'll never forget the ticker tape parade in New York City. It made us feel like rock stars in a weird way. Um, and people kept saying, thank you for your service. And that's always made me feel uncomfortable when people come up to me and say, thank you for your service, appreciate what you've done for our country, when we were really just doing our jobs. But as I think about that, I realize that yes, it was just a job to us, as just as being an obstetrician and doing the things that we do and saving lives on some days is just our job. But it truly is something wonderful to acknowledge. I say to all of you who have served, and to the families of veterans and active duty military, thank you for your service and happy Veterans Day.